tomorrow as witness Zandile Khumalo is not well. She's been giving testimony today, and Khumalo told the court she tried keeping the late Bafana goalkeeper conscious by speaking to him on their way to the hospital. Our reporter Manqoba Mchunu joins us now for an update. Manqoba, thank you so much for joining us. Good afternoon to you. Just an update in terms of what happened. We know that Zandile Khumalo also broke down in court as she was recollecting the events of that fateful day.
Well, indeed, Cindy. In fact, we saw the court having to adjourn for a few minutes just to allow Zandile Khumalo to compose herself from when she was giving testimony about the last moments of Senzo Meyiwa on the night that he was killed. She went into detail about the trip to hospital that lasted seemingly long. She says because of the fact that throughout this trip they had to keep Senzo Meyiwa conscious, they had to keep him alive, and to ensure that he was awake at that particular moment. She at the time was sitting with two of Senzo Meyiwa's friends, Tumelo Madlala as well as Mthokozi Sitwala, in the back seat of the car. And while Kelly Khumalo at the time was driving the vehicle, she described to court how she had to keep a towel on Senzo Meyiwa's chest to press the wound, to put pressure, in fact, on the wound to ensure that he didn't bleed out while he was on his way to hospital, but also just how they had to talk to him to ensure that he was still conscious. She describes then the moments when Senzo Meyiwa had arrived in hospital and the nurses had been called. She had screamed to the nurses, alerting them that they had brought in somebody who had been shot. This is the last time then they saw Senzo Meyiwa alive. When he was taken into that emergency room by the nurses, he was then treated by the nurses, and moments after that her mother Gladness Khumalo as well as her then boyfriend Longwe Twala had also arrived in hospital. The mother had then gone into the room where Senzo Meyiwa had been attended to by the emergency personnel at the time, and this is when she had then heard her screaming and crying, and this was an indication, of course, that at the time something was horribly wrong. That's when they learned that Senzo Meyiwa had then passed on from that moment. And then she described also just the moments, the fight that ensued in hospital when Senzo Meyiwa's wife had come to hospital, and she confronted her sister Kelly Khumalo about what had happened, and there was an exchange of fists, she says, during that encounter. And shortly after, Kelly Khumalo then gone inside the ward to see Senzo Meyiwa's body. But she gave a chilling account of those moments in court, and perhaps in the just describing, what went on, the horror and the feelings, the shock that they were in at that particular point. But during her testimony as well, she also pointed to one of the suspects, that's accused number 2, Bongani Ntanzi, who she says she's quite sure that he was one of the accused that was in that house, one of the intruders that was in the house on the night that Senzo Meyiwa was shot. She gave a description of those intruders. She says the first intruder had dreadlocks, he was short and he was light in complexion, he had a shiny skin, and the second intruder that had come into the house was somebody who was tall in build and somebody who was dark in complexion. And she pointed to Bongani Ntanzi as one of those accused that in fact was inside the house on that particular day. But take a listen to what she had to say as far as this is concerned.
Suspect number 2, ilo ifake ihudi.
Suspect number 2 is the one that had a hoodie,
Elandela lo ama-dreads.
following the one with the dreadlocks.
Now, are there any specific features that enabled you to say that case number 2, it's the second person who was in the house?
Sorry. Ingaba akhona ama features akubambe. Sorry my lord. akubangela ukuthi uthi accused number 2 uyena ke lona owayilandela lo nama threats.
Ngalo leyasuku ngoba mangikhuluma earlier ngishilo ukuthi mina noTumelo njengoba ngangithatha icrash sizama ukushaya yena ulantoza accused number 2
On that day, all right, sorry. On that day, as I explained that I took the crutch and together with Tumelo tried to assault the person. It was him, and I looked at him very well.
And how far were you from him?
Wawukude kangakanani kuyena?
ikhishi lasekhaya lincane kakhulu.
Our kitchen is very small.
Njengoba ubona ukuthi lapha esithombeni ngedlulile istofu siseduze kwesinki nesinki siseduze komnyango so kwakuseduze kakhulu.
As you could see from the previous pictures there, that the stove is close to the sink is closer to the door, so it's very close.
And Manqoba, of course, the court painstakingly going through the details because Zandile Khumalo's evidence is very crucial in getting to the detail of what transpired on that particular day. Many saying it's a protracted trial. In fact, justice has been denied for the Meyiwa family. Were they in court today? If they were present, were you able to speak to them?
Well, not today, Cindy. We didn't see any of the Meyiwa family members here in court, but I know that they are following what is happening here in court quite closely. Of course, they are hoping that there will finally be an end to this particular matter, which has dragged on for quite a number of years. We're expecting Zandile Khumalo to be cross-examined today. In fact, the case was adjourned for lunch, after which we're then expecting her to be cross-examined by the defense on her evidence in chief that she has given here in court. But just after lunch, of course, the state coming back and raising an issue as far as our accommodation is concerned, asking for an adjournment to sort out those issues as far as accommodation is concerned. And after that, when the court resumed following that short adjournment, it was then the issue that was raised around her health and that she was not feeling well at the time. And in fact, the state indicating that she could not proceed with cross-examination today. But we saw also a tough stance from Judge Rata Mokgatleng, who is now presiding over this new trial, who were then asked as to the reasons as to why this matter could not continue today, why the postponement. And she had even at some point asked Zandile Khumalo to stand up in court and to explain what was wrong with her, to which she had then indicated, Cindy, that she had a chest pain, and this is the reason why she could not continue with her testimony today. But of course, we saw that the judge was not impressed at all with this particular adjournment, saying that he had hoped that they were going to proceed today with that cross-examination, seemingly not wanting to waste any time as far as this case is concerned. Of course, the delays have been the huge matter of concern as far as this case is concerned. So we are expecting those proceedings to continue tomorrow morning, and we're expecting Zandile Khumalo to take the stand and to face a cross-examination from the defense.
Yes, and we also remember that Zandile Khumalo is the witness who was reluctant to appear on camera, saying that she faces trolls and the wrath of social media because of her profile. And now with this postponement due to ill health, how do we know that she'd be fit to appear before the judge tomorrow?
Well, the judge made it quite clear, Cindy, that he hopes that tomorrow we're going to proceed. In fact, he had even indicated that perhaps, referring, of course, to one of the cases that he had done where a witness had fallen ill just before cross-examination. And I think his utterances there were quite clear in court that he's not going to take no for an answer as far as cross-examination is concerned. He expects cross-examination to continue tomorrow, and if needs be, that there should be medical, checks that are done to confirm, in fact, that the witness will be fit enough to appear in court tomorrow. He was not happy at all at the fact that this matter could not proceed today, and in fact saying that he would expect that by tomorrow we'll get on with cross-examination. So certainly I think we'll have to wait and see, Cindy, what happens tomorrow. But the sense that we're getting from the state as well is that they also want this cross-examination to continue tomorrow, because they also indicated in court that this was the last time that there were going to be any delays or any issues as far as the witnesses are concerned. In this case, of course, they said they had to attend to those issues to ensure that a cross-examination does continue tomorrow. So we are expecting that it's going to continue tomorrow, and of course I guess we'll have to wait and see, Cindy, whether that is the case or not.
Manqoba Mchunu, thank you so much reporting to us live there. The Senzo Meyiwa murder trial that's underway, and it had to be adjourned because the key witness, Zandile Khumalo's ill health. But he says that the judge was quite adamant that proceedings will continue uninterrupted tomorrow. We'll touch base with Manqoba as that story develops as well.